What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is gonna be your Real Housewives of Atlanta season 11 reunion part 2. So look, y'all know go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. All my social media is listed in the description. Now, with that being said, y'all, I really truly tried. Last week I just couldn't do it. Last week I was like, I couldn't get past Nene's nastiness. I just couldn't give y'all nothing. There were a few things that were discussed that I just didn't even touch. The only thing I really wish I had kind of touched on that I didn't kind of really touch last week was the whole Eva and the black comment thing. Honestly, I never saw it even when it happened. I never felt like Eva was making a colorism comment. I really think she was trying to make a pun off of Shamari being in a group black spelled with a Q, and it just didn't hit. It just wasn't funny, or it didn't hit what she wanted it to hit. I honestly truly don't feel like she was coming from a place of colorism, but that's over. It's hashed out. It is what it is. I just kind of wish I had mentioned it. Okay. I'm going to try to give y'all some stuff that happened in this episode. I know I'm late. It was Sunday. Today's Thursday. Y'all know I was out of town. But let me just give y'all a few little odds and ends. Candy and Portia sort of talked about how the whole thing went down with Jamie and the party and everything. And that's just going to have to be an agree to disagree moment. It sounds like Portia sort of admitted that she did kind of confront that woman, because she was like, well, you can go up on somebody and say, what's up, and you pregnant, and not mean that you want to fight. That don't mean you want to knuck if you buck. To me, that was an admission that you did. But I also can understand that you feel like you were set up. You feel like Jamie invited that woman there to try to put Dennis in a bad situation and try to set you up. The biggest problem, which isn't for me, because it ain't my business, but the biggest problem is that there's that blurred line of when y'all became monogamous. And so I think Dennis, just like most men, he had a few women in his Rolodex that he had in rotation until you came out as the main one. And once you came out as the main one, then he had to push everybody back. But sometimes you gotta wean them off. You can't just, men just don't go cold turkey. Women will go cold turkey. Women will just stop returning your text and roll out because they done found themselves a man. Men don't do that so much because they want to keep it in their back pocket. And that sounds like what was happening with Dennis. Do I think that Portia and Dennis are happily together and are in a really good place? And absolutely. But I think in the beginning, it's just those blurred lines. And that's kind of where that whole drama came up with Candy and the Candy Factory and the entourage and all that. And Portia said the only thing that really upset her was that Candy brought Jamie on the show to say what she had to say and made it, But they've moved on. They've dealt with it. They're in a better place. They're not best of friends, but they're cool. They can be in the same room and laugh and joke, and it is what it is. And at the end of the day, sometimes that's all you can do with people. Okay, Greg and Nene. Is it me, or was that really hard to sit through, the whole Greg and Nene piece? Because I really truly feel like Greg loves Nene. Greg was really dealing with something. Until you have an illness, you don't know how you're going to act when you have an illness, if that makes any sense. Until you are dealing with an illness, you don't know. You really don't know. And cancer, you don't know. There twists, there turns. You have good days, you have bad days. You're dealing with, in the beginning, he wasn't doing the chemo, so he was really trying to be holistic and all of that. Then he was going through the chemo. Yes, y'all marriage probably wasn't in the best place before he got sick, and the sickness added to it. However, I feel like you were very insensitive to Greg in this whole situation. I'm on the outside looking in. But I feel like even in that moment when they were talking, and they've agreed to go to counseling, but even at the end when Andy said, well, do you want this marriage to work? And Greg, no hesitation, like, yes, I do. And Nene was like, well, I just can't commit to that. I can't say anything. That's a lot. That's a lot. And I think that's all that was said right there. She brought up Greg's cheating. He was like, it happened. It was over. That was so long ago. But clearly, see, here's the thing about forgiveness. If you really truly forgive me for something I did, then you can no longer use it as a weapon against me. If you are still using it as a weapon against me, then we have not moved past it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell Nene that she needs to move past it, because if that still bothers her, then that's something they need to deal with in counseling. However, you remarried this man. Was the cheating before, like, the first marriage? So my thing is, at some point, you thought you forgave him. you thought you moved past it. And if you haven't, then yes, that's something y'all need to deal with in counseling. But I do think it's unfair to throw something at somebody in the heat of an argument or because you're mad that supposedly you forgave them for. Because once you forgive somebody, you got to let it go. And unfortunately, that's what we do. We throw stuff back up because we're mad and we feel like it's free game. But, if you forgive me, you forgive me. She done left that man for the wedding. He was coming to the wedding and she left him talking about something. Well, we were arguing and you don't get to come to the wedding when we're in the middle of an argument. He said he was getting dressed. Looked up and she was gone. That's fucked up, Nene. Nene, something that came up on this episode, they call Nene passive aggressive. Now, Nene, you too smart not to know what passive aggressive is. So she tried to act like she didn't know what they were talking about. You know, and you are very passive aggressive. You were passive aggressive in the first 2 episodes and probably in the 3rd episode. Very passive aggressive about this whole situation. You're mad, you in your feelings, and instead of being honest and letting people know, you're just gonna sit there and be a bitch. And that's what you've been, as a bitch this whole season. Honestly, you ain't been no better than what Kim Zolciak did last season, where she really ain't want to be there, and you could tell she only filmed the scenes because she was obligated to film the scenes, but she was in no way, shape, or form really involved, really trying to engage with those women. And Nene, you did the same thing. Now, in the beginning, you did have a relationship with some of those women. I think you were a little bit more engaged. But one thing Cynthia said was, the minute Nene feels like somebody has wronged her, then her first reaction is to cut them off instead of trying to figure it out or even getting the other side of the story. If she's made up in her mind that somebody has done her wrong, that's all she got. And she cuts them off, and then it's like, well, damn. And that's not what friendship is, because how about this? As a friend, I am not perfect. I'm going to fuck up. I'm not perfect. I have made some bad decisions in friendships and vice versa. I've had some people make some bad decisions against me. Some have ended friendships, some not so much. Some have ended friendships for an extended period of time, and then we talked it out. But every time you feel like somebody did something against you, your first response can't be cut them off. Not if you really, that tells me that you really didn't give a damn about their friendship to begin with. You really didn't love them the way you said you loved them to begin with. And that's kind of what Portia said towards the end. She said she's really hurt. And I believe her. That she's really hurt at the way Nene is acting. And the way Nene was acting at that reunion. And then once they brought Marlo out, well, it was a whole nother conversation. Because her and Marlo just was petty the whole time, making little side comments. Every time Cynthia talked, Nene talking about something, we not even friends. Why is she talking? And at one point, Marlo even said, did you tell her y'all not friends anymore? You know what I mean? And Marlo, even though she was there to support Nene, she did kind of say, Nene, you do need to be more open. Nene, you do need to talk more. Nene, you do need to share certain things. Because it's just not fair to people. They don't even know where they stand with you. And Cynthia was like, look, I was a friend. And I don't know how you're receiving it. I don't know where you are with it. But I was a friend. I think I hit it all. It wasn't really a whole lot there. They talked about the trip to Tokyo. But again, everything came back to Nene. How Nene was acting. They talked about the trip to Destin. They talked about Nene, how she acted with Tanya. They talked about, what else they talk about? They talked about Shamari and Marlo kind of got into it, but that was, it was whatever. They were being petty back and forth. They talked about Shamari's drinking and Marlo talking about something she need to go to Betty Ford. Poor Shamari said she didn't know what that was. How you don't know what Betty Ford is? These youngins these days. Anyway, because even if you don't know who Betty Ford the woman is, how have you never heard of Betty Ford Clinic? But anyway, maybe it's just me. I don't know. But of course, the other ladies were like, we don't think she necessarily is an alcoholic. We do think that maybe sometimes she drinks too much. And Andy brought up a good question. Andy said, have you ever seen or heard of Shamari being drunk in a non-party situation? Because maybe sometimes she does too much when they're filming and they're in a party atmosphere versus her sitting at home. Now, if you sitting at home getting drunk all the time, or if every time somebody see you, you slurring your words, I can see that being a different conversation. But maybe that's where Andy was going to say, look, maybe she gets drunk when it's filming going on, but that's not necessarily her stilo. I don't know. But anyway, y'all, that's how it is. That's all I got. I tried to give y'all a little bit more this week, but it ain't a whole lot there to give. I'm just going to be honest. And I'm not going to keep talking about Nene, because it is what it is. Greg, she done made Greg go to his Twitter, because he said that Cynthia was like a little sister to him. Honey, Greg then went on his Twitter the next day talking about taking it back, basically. I said, that was Nene telling him, we ain't friends no more, so you don't get to talk about that. I said, well, damn. Oh, anyway. It is what it is, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.